Well, Jerry, since you have a quorum, do you want to just go ahead and get started? Or do you
Yeah,
want
we
to wait?
might as well. Okay, Linda, it's 4:06. I'll call this meeting to order. Let's stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, then. Item 1.2, adopt the agenda. Are there any adjustments to the agenda as posted?
I have none.
Anyone else? No? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I also approve. Agenda is adopted as posted. The consent agenda, 2.1, consideration of approval of warrants and payroll for Northern United Humboldt Charter School. 2.2, consideration of approval of warrants and payroll for Northern United Siskiyou Charter School. 2.3, consideration of approval of minutes for the December 10th board meeting. 2.4, consideration of resignations, hires, leaves, and change of assignments. 2.5, consideration of approval of Williams uniform complaint quarterly report for NUCS. 2.6, consideration of approval of Williams uniform complaint quarterly report for NUSCS. Are there any corrections to be made to any of those documents? Hearing none.
Rosemary would probably have some.
Are there? Yeah. Nope, she's not logged on. Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as posted.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I also approve. Motion carries. Item number 3, public comments on items not on the agenda. Under this item, the public is invited to address the board regarding items that are not on today's agenda. Please keep your comments concise, brief, and limited to 3 minutes. The board is not allowed under the law to take action on matters that are not on the agenda. Should comments from the public pertain to a charge or complaint against an employee of Northern United Humboldt Charter School or Northern United Siskiyou Charter School, the board encourages the speaker to utilize the school's written complaint procedures to pursue the matter. The public will have an opportunity to comment on all agenda items as those items are heard. Are there any comments to be made? Yes, I see
We
a hand
do have
up.
a hand up. Hi, I was just going to introduce myself. My name is Melissa Seymour, and my daughter, Tatiana Seymour, is a new student in 7th grade at the Northern Humboldt branch. We've been just very happy with her experience. So I just wanted to give a positive comment about her teachers, Mrs. Sharp, Mrs. Rybeck, Mrs. Lyons is working with her as well. She's had a great experience, and I know that distance learning is hard. I'm a kindergarten teacher myself at Cutton Ridgewood Elementary, and it's hard to do distance learning and reach those students, but I feel like her teachers have really done a wonderful job. So I wanted the board to know that. And I'm also here just to kind of see what other schools are talking about reopening, because I know that's been a big topic for everyone. So I just wanted to say those positive comments and introduce myself.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words of encouragement. We hope that there's continued success for your student in our program. Are there any other comments? All right. Again, thank you. Moving on to action items to be considered. 4.1, approval of the reopening criteria. Sherry?
Well, as directed, this is on the agenda each month to give the board an opportunity to talk about whether or not they want to change what has been the approved reopening criteria. At this time, I don't have any recommendations to change anything, though I do anticipate the possibility of changing the reopening criteria now that the vaccination is on the horizon. In Siskiyou in particular, it's moving a little faster in terms of school employees receiving the vaccine. What's the date, Kirk? The 22nd? You're muted.
You're muted.
There we go. So yes, the 22nd, it's going to be different than we had been told. Moderna, they're having a hard time getting as many Moderna vaccines as they thought they were. So rather than sending nurses to schools to vaccinate everybody, they've set up a drive-through situation at the fairgrounds, and everybody's going to need to congregate there and wait in line.
But so the Siskiyou staff, anyone who wants to be vaccinated has the opportunity to do that on the 22nd for their first vaccine. And the reason I bring this up in relation to the reopening criteria is, you know, we have in our reopening criteria that we won't open our facilities in the red tier, the purple, of course, but the red tier as well. We might want to rethink that once staff is vaccinated. So like I said, it's, you know, it may not be something that you want to do tonight, but maybe next month, it may be something that you would want to consider. As of right now, both counties, neither county meets the reopening criteria to be able to open. Both our local board approved criteria and the state criteria, which is if you have never been open, you can't open when you're in the purple, and both counties are in the purple tier currently. So that's kind of where we stand. Like I said, the state requirements would not allow us to reopen right now. But even, you know, there was a short window of time where Humboldt went out of the purple tier and went into the red. Our local criteria doesn't allow for us to open in the red either, the board approved criteria. So like I said, I have no particular recommendations right now, but it is certainly open to discussion and possible changing since it is an action item.
Thank you, Sherry. Any member have a comment or question?
I'm wondering if, sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bianca.
I'm wondering if we meet the other criteria. Where are we at with the staff completing the IPM training and the center approved documents as well?
So in terms of the staff completing the COVID-19 and integrated pest management, we're 100% on the Humboldt side. Siskiyou side isn't quite at 100% yet, I don't think. Linda, you can chime in if you know differently. But one that I know that we don't meet the number 1 or the number 2. And then we do meet the number 4, which is having enough PPE. We don't meet the one about having the center specific reopening plans, the approved center specific. We don't meet that. Not every center has turned that in yet. So really, we don't meet it on many of the fronts there.
Thank you.
Jeff?
Yeah, I was just going to comment. So some of you guys know my son Henry, special needs, goes to Eureka High School. They actually start school again tomorrow. And then his secondary school, he actually starts opening again next week. So, and that's just on the special needs part of things. So, you know, people are trying to move forward, and they're doing it kind of cautiously. But we'll see kind of how it goes. I mean, we're playing it by ear just with Henry, and just to kind of see how things go. And we spoke to both of his teachers at both facilities, just kind of easing our mind about things and how things are going to be, you know, going to happen. And it's not a whole lot of change from what happened earlier in the year. So as far as the initial on-site training and teaching, everything's been put in motion and put into play. So, but it looks good for right now. We'll see.
And Jeff, I'm glad you brought that up, because it reminded me to give just a little update too. You remember when you guys approved kind of the modified phase 3 of our phased reopening, which allowed for targeted one-on-one intervention with students. So there has been some of that happening. So teachers meeting with one person one-on-one, and you recall that we put a couple requirements in place for that, including the parents to complete the kind of an assumption of risk form for voluntary in-person instruction. And so I've been collecting those and keeping track of who is seeing whom, where and what days, so that when I get contacted by the health department regarding positive cases, I can look at our list to make sure, those things match up. So there has been some of that cohorting, but just one-on-one, not small group, but one-on-one for that targeted intervention. Some of that's been happening. And of course, the meeting with students with IEPs, that's been happening all along.
I just have one more comment. In talking with teacher staff at both facilities, they've noticed a significant rise in, I would say, the anxiousness of the students, and it's taken a mental toll on these kids, not so much academically. They still seem to be performing at the levels that they should, but they're noticing just some erratic behavior, some issues mentally that is kind of starting to accumulate now, from the path that we've kind of taken. So, I don't know. Anyway, and I've talked to a number of parents about it, because we're kind of in the same boat. And so, yeah, I feel for the kids that are struggling. I mean, I wish I could wave a wand and fix it. So, that's heavy on my heart right now.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Any other comments? No? So is there a motion?
I make a motion that we table this item until next meeting.
I would second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I also approve. Motion carries. 4.2, approval of IRS mileage rates for 2021. Sherry?
And you guys know that this is an annual task. Every year in January, the IRS updates the approved reimbursement amount for mileage reimbursement. And so we have a board policy where we match our mileage reimbursement rate with the IRS rate. So the IRS came out with their new rates, and it has been lowered to 0.56. It was 0.575, but gas prices have come down. So I'm just asking for you to approve our mileage rate to 0.56, and we will update our mileage reimbursement forms and have them on the website.
Are there any questions for Sherry? Okay, is there a motion?
I move that we approve the IRS mileage rates for 2021.
I second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
I also approve. Motion carries. 4.3, approval of the school accountability report card for Northern United Humboldt Charter School. Sherry?
Again, this is an annual job of the school board. The school accountability report card is a report on every school within the state. It reports on a variety of topics. By law, it has to be posted on our website by February 1st. So you guys see it in January. It's attached in your board packet. Not all data was available from CDE. The one that they have not yet given out is the 2019-20 suspension expulsion data. And they let all the schools know that that was not going to be something that they would get out prior to the reporting deadline. I think that it's actually fine that they didn't get that out yet. And they, in fact, there's a little note in the SARC about this, is that they're asking for schools or for people, public, to not really compare the 1920 suspension expulsion data with prior years because schools closed in March of last school year. So it wasn't even a complete school year. So it's, kind of comparing apples and oranges. But we have internal data. We know how many students were expelled or suspended last year internally. So, we are able to fill that in. And we had no expulsions in either school. But anyway, so I'm asking for the board to approve the school accountability report card.
Thank you, Sherry. Are there any questions or comments for Sherry regarding this?
I have none.
None.
Okay, so is there a motion?
I would move that for the approval of the school accountability report card for Northern United Charter School.
I second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I also approve. Motion carries. 4.4, the approval of the school accountability report card for Northern United Siskiyou Charter School. Sherry?
Same.
Same thing.
Different data, but same information. Again, the school report card, school accountability report card, but this time for Siskiyou.
Yep, looks the same. I mean, the format, the layout.
Same
Not necessarily-
template, just different
Yeah,
data.
the template,
Yeah.
right. Are there any questions or comments for Sherry?
None?
All right. Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the school county accountability report card for NUSCS.
I will second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I also approve. Motion carries. 4.5, approval of the acceptable use policy. Sherry?
Yeah, and I put this on here not as like a first reading and second reading because this is a policy that we've already had, and this is just some minor tweaks to make it compliant. And you'll see highlighted on page 2 of the policy what was added, the additional sentences that were added, and phrase that was added. I don't know if anybody has any questions about it.
No. Are there any questions or comments for Sherry?
None?
No, I have none.
No. The highlighted area is really quite appropriate. So is there a motion?
I'd move that we, for the approval of the acceptable use policy.
Second the motion.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I also approve. Motion carries. 4.6, approval of the Northern United Charter Schools written COVID-19 prevention program. Sherry?
Okay, this one will take a little longer to explain because this is something new that we haven't seen before. And you'll see in the background information that this is as a result of new Cal OSHA standards that were approved November 30th. And this says that all employers over a certain size are required to create a written COVID-19 prevention program. And they gave the template for which employers could create this. They call it a program. I keep on saying plan just because it's a document, but they created a template so that we could do this. And that's attached in the background sheet. And it lays out kind of the responsibilities. It kind of gives definitions to specific vocabulary and lays out the standards that are expected for employers related to COVID-19. I'm going to talk in my director's report a little bit about kind of a new thing that Governor Newsom, said that schools are having to do, and this actually is the second part of that. We don't have the template for the first part of that yet. Oh no, this is the first part. We don't have the template for the second part yet. But anyway, so we're a little bit ahead of the game with having this in place. So this requires the board to approve it. And then when we get the rest of the second half of the plan completed, both of them will be posted onto our website. Any questions about it?
I don't have any questions. It was really dense.
It is dense. And I have to tell you, there has just been one new requirement and or plan kind of thrown at us after another. And it has taken a little while for me to kind of wrap my head around each of the different requirements. This was the Cal OSHA one. There's also a workers' comp set thing that had to be done. And they all kind of talk about the same things, but in different ways. But they all kind of speak to what the employer's reporting requirements are. So when we have somebody that tests positive,
Sure.
the kind of the reporting compliance that's necessary.
Yeah. Well, I guess on one hand, a benefit, if you want to think of it that way, is that these these different entities. So workers' comp, OSHA, are arriving at many of the same conclusions.
That's true. You're right. You're right.
So from that point of view, you know, some consistency at least. So anyway, any further questions, comments?
I just think that, you know, it's addressing the same things that we addressed when this whole thing started. I mean, all these little parts that have to fit together as a whole have to be addressed and thought of. I mean, the student, the teacher, I mean,
That's right.
The facility. I mean, it's all interconnected, yet it's all separate. You know, it's just kind of nutty that way. So.
Well, and you're right, Jeff. It is interesting how, and Jerry, you point out that they've come to the same conclusions, and it's stuff that we've been talking about for a long time now, almost a whole year. And it's interesting how, like, for example, this Cal OSHA plant program and the template, part of the requirements are things that we already did almost a year ago, but this is requiring it to be documented. So now we're having to kind of go back and write on these forms. You'll notice in the appendices, there's a couple things that have to be done. We have to look at each facility and do kind of a thorough inspection and decide where the COVID hotspots are. Well, we did that already. We had to do that a long time ago, but now we have to put it on this form. So I've given this to all of the center leads to do that. And then another one of the appendices is to say how you're going to mitigate that COVID hotspot. Again, we've already done that, but we're having to document it on these particular forms. And then we have to have these forms on file. So a lot of it is kind of, you know, after the fact, because Cal OSHA just came up with this, even though it was something that we needed to do a long time ago.
Okay. Very good. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Northern United Charter Schools written COVID-19 prevention program.
I will give a hearty second.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I also approve. Motion carries. 4.7, approval of the first interim report for Northern United Siskiyou Charter School.
People hear us?
Yep,
Can you guys hear me?
We see you and hear you, Rosemary. Welcome back.
No, this is just your internet loading patiently. Is your computer volume turned up?
You've had it, honey. I don't know.
We hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Oh, save the day. Bye. Thank you, honey. Oh, here's your cards, honey.
What would we do without our grandsons?
Thank you.
Uh,
Okay, honey. Bye. Oh, I'm sorry.
you're live
That's
now.
okay. Better late than never.
Oh,
Hey, I've been there.
I don't know
Rosemary.
what the issue was. I don't know.
I've been there.
I apologize for my
All right.
tardiness.
That's quite all right. So for your information, we are on 4.7. And
Thank you.
Sherry, Tammy, you want to take it from here?
Yeah. You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so coming first page, you can pass that. That's just the title. If you notice in the revenues, we've gained $208,456. Our unduplicated people count had jumped from 73% to 83%. So that ended up giving us an increase in the LCFF revenues for 119 plus thousand. In our federal revenue, that increased by 75,000 plus. And other state resources, that increased by 13,000 plus. The other two just remain the same, but still we got over in Siskiyou, we got a great revenue boost. Expenditures as of now are remain the same. There's just no change in them. When you come down to our signature general fund, Siskiyou general fund graph, you could see how well Siskiyou is doing as far as spending out of the general fund only. You know, this is how they're doing. You want to, right now, we want to spend as little out of the general fund as we can and use up all our other monies so that we have this for the end of the year. And again, like I said, you could see that on the next page where the graph is, you could see where our unduplicated account increased by 10%. So that 83% gave us that extra 119 plus thousand over there. Between the coronavirus funds that we received, 3 different funds, the total was $58,809. And we've already spent the CRFF. We had a due date and then it got extended, but we got it spent for the Siskiyou side. Now we're still just spending down the other 2 monies left over. And Vivian is keeping she has an Excel spreadsheet that she keeps very good track of all of this in. So we actually really know down to the money how we're doing in here. And the last is this year and the 2 years out are positive, and I would request that you guys I would request if you guys certify the budget positive.
Thank you, Tammy. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Or comments for Tammy?
Just want to say, way to go, Kirk. Good job.
Yeah.
And Tammy as well. I mean,
it's more Kirk and Vivian. It really is.
Hey, it's a team effort, I'm sure. And, you guys are doing a great job. And it's nice to know that it's, taken care of so, intimately, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Just, the numbers are matching up and everything's good and it's healthy. That's important.
There is one more thing in the report when you go to the cash flow. The last time we looked at the cash flow, I believe it was around 96,000 of what we would end with. And now when you go in and look at that cash flow with the deferrals, because we know deferrals are happening for sure, we're ending over there over 250,000 in cash. So that's really good for Siskiyou.
That's really healthy.
That's healthy, and that's with the deferrals. So I'm happy. And they showed it without the deferrals, we would have been 852,000 plus. So, wow. Yeah.
We'll get that money next year.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thank you, Tammy.
No questions?
Anything else?
Rosemary?
No. I'm just trying to get up to speed here. I just always appreciate your graphs and the color coding and how it's dummied down for me. I appreciate that.
So is there a motion? And it's positive certification or not?
I'll move that we approve the first interim report for Northern United Siskiyou Charter School.
Jeff, you want to amend that by, it needs,
Positive certification?
yes,
Yes.
thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put that in. Had a senior moment. And the positive certification for Siskiyou Charter School. I'm sorry.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Bianca,
Aye.
Rosemary,
Aye.
Jeff,
Hi.
and I also approve. Motion carries. So, moving on to reports. 5.1 is enrollment and attendance. Sherry?
And you see the report in the background sheet where our enrollment is looking good and our attendance is looking good, though this is one of those strange years where that doesn't really mean a lot because
Yeah.
we are our funding is based on last year's attendance and enrollment. So, and unfortunately, our higher enrollment numbers this year aren't really doing us any good.
Financially, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions or comments for Sherry?
I know that the numbers, kind of meaningless at this point in time, but it encourages me that there's, that many students engaged in what's going on at a hard time. And that makes me feel good that there's that connection still, and the numbers are kind of showing it. It probably won't wash out till end of the year, but it's encouraging to me to see that the kids are still pursuing this.
Thank you, Jeff. Moving on to 5.2, the financial report for Northern United Humboldt and Northern United Siskiyou Charter Schools.
The report's in your packet, and that's really just showing you the expenditures that happened in the month of December for both schools.
Are there any questions or comments? No? All right. 5.3, the director's report.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to start out with, I emailed you guys all the letter from HCOE that just let us know that the Humboldt first interim was approved. And I don't know if you noticed, but that letter was written from Corey Weber. And he has been, I don't remember exactly what his title has been at HCOE. It's like Director of Fiscal Services, I think. But just this week, the county superintendent sent an email out to everybody letting us know that he has now been named HCOE's Assistant Superintendent of Business. So he has gotten a promotion. But something kind of an interesting fact about Corey Weber is some of us, Linda, Tammy, Jerry, and I have known Corey Weber for a very long time because he was the chief business official, the position that Tammy now holds. He was the chief business official for Matola Unified School District when Jerry and I worked there, and Tammy and Linda and I worked there. So we've had a long relationship with Corey. I wanted to give you an update about Prop 39. So you might remember that the Prop 39 for Matola Valley Charter School was pulled for an audit. And what Prop 39 was funds that the state gave to schools to do energy improvements, energy upgrading of their facilities. So I agreed to help with that since Matola Valley Charter School was closed. We got preliminary findings. They still have to be reviewed by the auditor's supervisor, but she let me know there were 3 findings. One of them was that the final report was turned in late. And I don't really know why that was. Mattole contracted with Redwood Coast Energy Authority to manage the Prop 39 funds. And I don't know why they turned in the report late, but they did. So that was one finding. And then the two other findings were something that we would have expected. And that is that the money that Mattole applied for and received for energy upgrading was not all expended. One chunk of the money was for planning and one was for actual energy improvements. And so both of those different pots of money were not all expended. And so those have to be paid back. What wasn't expended have to be paid back. And so that was two separate findings, one for the planning and one for the implementation. And you may remember me mentioning that the money in Mattole Valley Charter Schools account that was received for these Prop 39 funds has just been sitting there waiting to pay back the state whenever they sent an invoice for that money. And so what the auditor said they do is once their supervisor approves the work that she's done, they will notify the state of the money that needs to go back to them, and the state will send an invoice to Mattole Unified School District. And that money that's sitting in the account will just go back to them. And she gave me the exact amount that they're going to be requesting back. And it's going to leave about $300 in that account, in that closed Mattole Valley Charter School account, which I'm guessing must just be interest that has accrued from that amount of money. It's like $82,000 or so that's been sitting in there waiting to go back, $83,314.
Wow.
So anyway, that was good to know that it seems like that's kind of being wrapped up now. Oh, one other thing I think that I had mentioned about that to you is they, some of the facilities in which energy improvements were done are no longer being leased by Mattole Valley Charter School. In fact, none of them are being leased by Mattole Valley Charter School because it doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
But all of the facilities are being leased by a public school. And so they weren't sure what was going to happen with that. And she feels like there's not going to be any, as long as since they're, still being leased by a public school, that's all that matters ultimately. So that's good. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I just am going to be bringing this up because I thought that it's possible that you may have heard about this in the news, and that is Governor Newsom announced a Safe Schools for All plan. This was 2 weeks ago now, I think, last week, at the end of last week, maybe, he announced it. And and there was an article about it in, I think, Lost Coast Outpost too, and maybe in the Times Standard as well. But essentially what it is the state is encouraging schools to open by giving a $450 per pupil incentive. So schools have to do some different compliance things, including creating a plan. And that's what I was talking about, that Cal OSHA is part of that plan, is half of the plan. The other half of the plan, they haven't released the template for, though they've told us what needs to be in it. So if schools have this plan, create this plan, then they give it to the local public health, and local public health has 7 days to approve it or to get back to you and tell you what needs to be done. Once it's approved, we have to then submit that plan to the state, and we post it on our website. And that plan talks about some of the things that we have to do, like everybody has to wear a mask, social distancing, testing of staff and students. There's, some different requirements. And if schools meet all of those requirements, then they can open for kindergarten through 6th grade only, not 7th through 12th, but kindergarten through 6th, and they will receive $450 per student as an incentive to kind of get kids back in school. Well, as per usual, non-classroom based charter schools do not qualify for these funds, though we are still required to do the plan and to, meet all the compliance portions of this proposal. So we'll get the plan done, submit the plan to the health department. We'll get it on our website. all of the things that we need to, but we will not get the funding for it that the other schools will get. So I just wanted to, make sure that you were aware of that in case you hear about it. There has been some controversy about this because, schools are kind of being accused of putting money before the safety of students by doing this and, taking this incentive. I don't really know what to say about that. When I spoke with Jerry about this, he kind of said something about it. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that we don't get the funding so that we can't be accused of putting money before student safety. But anyway, it's a little bit controversial, but it is what it is. I just thought I would update you on it, even though it doesn't apply to us. People won't realize that it doesn't apply to us. Just today, the framework for this new proposal was released, but we still haven't gotten the template for that second part of that plan. But once we do, I'll get working on it. It was supposed to be released on last Friday, but it didn't happen. Maybe we'll get it tomorrow. I wanted to update you on the cash flow / deferral / loan update. It does not appear as if the state will sweep the deferrals as I had hoped. The governor introduced his January budget proposal, and he proposes paying back the deferrals from this year and eliminating all but one for next year, and that's the June 2022 deferral. So it doesn't appear that the deferrals for this school year, are going to go away. And so the recommendation is to continue to move forward with a loan if you're a school or a district that's going to need one. At first interim, the cash flow projection for Northern United Siskiyou Charter School looks much better, but for Northern United Humboldt Charter School, the cash flow looks worse. So I do believe we'll need to proceed with a loan. You will recall that I've been working with two different entities about a loan. One is the state, the California State Finance Authority, and one was a private lender. Both of them are looking at Northern United Charter Schools as one entity rather than two separate schools, since we have one federal tax ID number. And so I think that's probably good news for us, because you might remember the California School Finance Authority loan wasn't going to be sufficient to cover Humboldt's cash flow deficit, but it had a much lower interest rate than the other entity. Well, because they're looking at us as one entity, they're taking into consideration our facility costs for both schools. So it looks like for that we'll be able to get enough money to cover the cash flow for Humboldt using that California School Finance Authority. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly so I can show you what I mean here, what I'm saying. Okay. So this is, hold on, let me do a full screen here if I can. So this is the California School Finance Authority's proposal to us, and this is just a preliminary proposal. They're supposed to give us their final proposal by January 29th during this month. But so what you see here is they're showing Northern United Charter Schools as the legal borrower, so combined. They give two estimates of potential funding. The first estimate is how much in deferrals both schools are receiving. So Siskiyou is not going to receive $519. That's how much money they're going to have deferred. Humboldt is going to have deferred $1.3 million. So that's a combine of $1.8 million. And then the second estimate shows the facility costs. You might remember that with this particular loan, you were going to get the less amount. You were going to get the amount that was the least, either your deferral amount or your facility cost amount. So the second estimate shows the facility cost amount. So in Siskiyou, the facilities cost about $250,000, and in Humboldt, the facilities cost about $300,000 for a combined amount of $550,000. So my guess is what they're actually going to offer us is the second estimate, since that's the least of the two. So $550,000 would cover the cash shortfall for Humboldt. So that's, I'm hoping that that's, this is the route that we'll be able to go, is to go with this, the California School Finance Authority, for the loan amount and not have to do that private company. Let's see, I'm going to show you this document next. Let me stop sharing and share something else now. Okay, so this is the California School Finance Authority loan program that I'm hoping we're going to be able to do. And it's kind of the timeline of how this loan is going to work. So we are on we're like in step 7. And that is, we're waiting for them to approve our application and to get a loan package to us. And you see January 29th is the deadline for that. And then step 8 is the board would approve those loan documents. And that is supposed to happen in February. So if we move forward with this on the February board agenda, there will be an action item to approve this loan. One of the things that I've already had to do was engage legal counsel, borrower's legal counsel. So we have Sarah Coleman from Young, Minnie and Core. She'll be our legal counsel for this process. And when we do get the loan package, we'll give it to her to review and to advise us on it. And she can be available at our board meeting if you'd like to answer all the questions that we'll definitely have. She's going to prepare some information for us too, but she can be present at that February board meeting. So that would happen in February, where we would approve the loan documents. We would get the loan documents back to them by February 24th. And then kind of behind the scenes at CDE, they would issue all of the paperwork that they needed to do. We would have to commit by February 26th, that's step 12. They would get the documents to investors, and again, kind of all of that behind the scenes stuff that they have to do. But step 16 is delivery of the loan proceeds, and that's by March 31st. So you might remember on our cash deferral projection that HCOE did for Humboldt, it's May is when we start having a cash shortfall. So if we get the funds by March 31st, we should be in pretty good shape to get us through the rest of the year. So I'm going to stop sharing that.
Wow.
And ask if you have any questions about that, any of that information that I just kind of threw out there, all of that, the timelines and all of the cash deferral and loan information.
Are there any questions for Sherry? Sherry, I would make a comment. I think it behooves us to have that individual be present, be available for February's board meeting.
Okay, Sarah Coleman. Yeah. Okay.
So.
Well, I've already let her know that that's what I anticipated, and so she's got the date on her calendar already. So I'll make sure that that happens.
Good. Thank you.
And that's it for my director's report.
Thank you.
Can I, does anybody have any questions or comments for Sherry?
No.
Sherry, I wanted to ask about, maybe I saw it on, I got an email on on the charter school account. A new grant program.
Right, the public charter schools grant, that's the grant that we just finished, that one that both Humboldt and Siskiyou got for $450,000. That public charter school grant. Yeah, that they are asking, I mean, that's open again. That's something that every year schools can apply to, specific schools. So we were able to qualify because we were considered a new school, because we were Northern United,
Okay.
not Metro Valley anymore. You also qualify if you're adding grade levels. There are different things that make you qualify. We won't qualify again.
Oh, okay. Okay, that answers that. What's ever become of the super student?
You know, I asked Lacey that when you asked me the other day, and she said that every month she sends something out to teachers trying to get information, and she's not able to get information from teachers on that. She said she'll keep trying.
Okay, because
Good.
you know, I have a member in my household that looks for that all the time, and it has noticed that the schools that do send that in are using very nice large photographs, and so just thought I'd
I think that maybe what happened last year is the counselor maybe ended up taking it over and doing it, or Lacey did. I'm not sure, but this year she said she has not been able to get any teachers to nominate any students.
okay. All right. Well, thank you for your wonderful report. We'll move on to 5.4, Northern United Humboldt Charter School Report. It's you can see the information in the packet. Are either I see Rebecca's still with us and Julie no longer.
There's nothing to add to the report, Jerry, but thanks for asking.
Okay. Always want to give you an opportunity.
Thank you, but I am going to run with that super students. There'll be one this next time.
Okay. I'll let Carol know. 5.5, the Siskiyou Charter School Report. Anything you'd like to add to what's in our packet, Kurt? Oh, Kurt, you're muted.
I was maybe going to mention vaccinations, but that came up earlier when we were talking about it.
Okay.
But
All right.
nothing else to add.
Okay, thank you. Board report. Bianca?
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I have nothing to report on.
All right. Rosemary?
Well, I have nothing to report on, but I would like to know how the silent auction turned out. I was following that, and I was just curious if it was something that was worthwhile doing, perhaps again. Oh, what's Tammy showing us?
The check,
check.
we made
What does that
over
say?
$1,000.
2005.
Oh, there it is. Oh, good. Good. There we go. Good deal.
Anything else, Rosemary?
And Rosemary, did we report last time on how
That's
much
it. Thank you.
did we report last time on how much the pizza fundraiser made? Remember we did the fundraiser
No, I
at
don't think so.
Mod Pizza?
At
You're muted,
Mod
Tammy.
Pizza,
It was like 200 and something, right, Tammy?
It was over 200. I think like
And that is
202.
happening again. That's already scheduled. I think it's like every couple months.
Good.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Rosemary.
Mhm.
Jeff?
No comment
Kevin?
at this time. Everything looks good.
Okay. And the only other the thing that I haven't, I missed it asking you, Sherry, during your report, a facilities search. You know, any news on searching for a new building for us?
And no, nothing new to report on that.
Okay. Thought I'd ask. And that's it. So moving on to discussion items. 6.1, discussion of student social media search program implementation.
So I put this on
Sherry?
here. I put this on here because it gives any members of the public an opportunity to ask any questions about how our social media search program works. I wrote quite a bit in the background there for you, but basically all the schools that have internet access have a web, like a security feature on there. The one we use is called Securely. And it does a few things. It blocks access to websites that could, have, I don't know, any kind of harmful situation or any controversial kind of thing or things that don't have educational purpose. So that there's that website filter blocker. But another thing that Securely does is it monitors student email and Google searches and things like that for any kind of signs of bullying or violence or sentiments of like grief or self-harm. And what happens is it's just an algorithm, and when anything that the algorithm detects, is something that triggers it, it sends an email and a text to some of us, like our school counselor, our school psychologist, admin, and our technology director. And we contact the student's parent to let them know, what has happened. And it's not always, we don't always reach out to the student's parent. Sometimes the first contact is actually the student's teacher, because a lot of times it's an assignment that has triggered something, somebody looking up a poison, for example. Well, that might be a research project. A lot of times it's song lyrics.
Mhm.
A lot of times it's poetry.
70% of the time it's song lyrics.
Yeah, a lot of times that's what it is. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that this is something that we're doing. It is mentioned in our acceptable use policy that you guys approved earlier. But it's just it's kind of a security feature and we are required to notify parents that this is something we use. And so I just wanted to put this on the agenda again, just as another source of notification that this is something that the school does. Any questions?
I liked it.
I do too. I think it works really well. I mean, I know for a fact we have caught some serious situations through this.
I think it's a great program.
Good.
Yeah. Agreed. All right.
And then in the background information, there was just more, more documentation in there about how it works, and, the fact that there's a parent portal where parents can go on and see things. And
Yeah.
some of our restrictions for YouTube and things. That's all.
Yeah.
What's
Well,
the
good.
cost of it?
That's a good question. Kirk, do you have any idea how, or Tammy, do you have any idea how much Securely costs? I don't either. We've used it for quite a few years now. I'll find that out and let you know. I don't even ever remember seeing POs for it. Do you, Tammy? Do you see the PO every year?
Tammy, you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, Tammy. You know, when she's talking, I can hear her because she's in her office. So,
Her office. Okay.
yeah.
I believe the Securely is under a different name. So
Oh,
it's, I'm pretty sure it's like SHI or something.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Tammy, look and see how much we pay for that. That's a good question.
Thank you. I'm sure it's worth it.
Yeah. We'll let you know,
Yeah.
though. I'll let you know how much it is.
Yeah. Okay. Next board meeting, 7-1, possible agenda items.
There are a lot more besides what's listed there. I think the audits, both schools' audits, annual audits will be on next month. The co-op agreement, the CONAP, the Comprehensive Safe Schools Plan, that has to be reapproved every year prior to March 1st. So that'll be on next month. And then I think already on there is the SELPA local plan. And again, the reopening criteria will be listed. I'm also going to put on there as a discussion item with everyone's approval, the idea of possibly increasing the employer contribution for health and welfare for employees. That will be on next month. Also, I know there's a resignation that will be listed on that, the report that you get every month that is leaves, hires, and resignations. There was one, I think it was in December actually, but we'll list it on the one for next month. I think that's all I can think of right now.
Okay. Any other item or possibility any of the members can think of? No? All right. Well, the next board meeting date is February 11th. And for Linda, there she is. It is 5:13, and I will adjourn this January board meeting.